All right, diving right in. This one's all about open government data, specifically in Australia, and how you can use it for, well, good stuff, for public good.
Yeah, that's it. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty, how-to, real-world stuff, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And because we're in Australia, we've got a unique perspective here. We're even talking about Sither, an Aussie company.
Yeah, they're based in Canberra.
Part of the government.
Yeah, led by this guy, Felix.
He's really championing open government data, OGD.
Big time. They get that it's not just about transparency. It's a tool you can use.
To drive change.
Yeah, positive change.
To guide our deep dive today, we've got two sources.
Right, lay 'em on me.
First, Building Trust in the Public Record.
Okay.
From the National Archives of Australia, the NWA.
Sounds pretty official.
It is, but it highlights something important. Well-managed government information.
That's got to be the foundation, right?
Definitely. If we want to use OGD for good, the data itself needs to be good, right?
Yeah. Reliable, trustworthy.
Totally. Then we've got Building Democratic Resilience.
Okay, what's that about?
Strengthening public discourse to counter things like violent extremism.
Huh. That doesn't sound like it has much to do with OGD.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so.
Right, no.
But they both emphasize accurate and accessible information. So that's for a strong democracy, but it's also for, your own projects.
Okay, so they're connected in a way.
Yeah, let's break down that NAA policy first.
All right, go for it.
Building trust in the public record. It emphasizes 8 principles of good information management.
8. Wow.
Why do they matter for us here?
Well, the NAA actually seems a little concerned.
Oh, how so?
Their checkup surveys of government agencies show pretty low performance in some areas.
Like what?
Governance, interoperability, meaning a lot of government information. Well, it might not be managed as well as we'd like.
That's not great. If the information isn't well managed, that impacts the quality of the OGD, right?
Wow. Yeah.
So these 8 principles, they come in to help address that.
Okay, give me an example.
Sure. One is accuracy.
Yeah.
Making sure the info is correct and reliable. Another is accessibility.
Yeah. Easy to find and use.
Exactly. So for you, our listener,
right,
if you're using OGD, you need to be aware of potential issues.
Makes sense.
Are there inconsistencies? Is it tough to understand? Those NAA principles can help you figure out if the data is reliable or not.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. And this is where a company like Sither can be helpful, actually.
Yeah,
They're being proactive about these data challenges.
They recognize the quality of OGD can be a barrier for sure.
It can, especially for those working on, public good stuff.
Exactly. That's why they developed tools like awarded tenders and awarded grants.
They take raw government data, clean it up, standardize it, make it easy to use.
Okay, let's talk about those tools. Our listener here is interested in using OGD for, social good, positive change.
Right.
How can awarded tenders help them with that?
Well, awarded tenders gives you insight into government contracts, like who's winning them, what are they for, how much are they worth.
I can see how knowing that would be useful.
Right. And it might not seem like this relates to public good, but think about it. Transparency and spending, that's super important for accountability.
Yeah, I see that, for sure. It's not just about catching people doing bad things. It's about understanding where resources are going.
Absolutely. You can spot gaps in services, maybe even find opportunities to team up with agencies.
So with awarded tenders, you can
track spending patterns.
See who's working on what.
Get a sense of, funding priorities.
So someone could use that to inform their own strategies.
Exactly. Make smarter choices about how to make a difference.
So say our listener is passionate about healthcare in rural areas.
Okay, yeah.
They could use awarded tenders to see
who's already working on that.
Where's the funding going?
Where can they have the biggest impact?
That makes a lot of sense. And then there's awarded grants, your other tool.
This one's about getting funding.
For projects that benefit the community.
Right. Anyone who's applied for a grant knows it's a ton of work.
Yeah, it can be so competitive.
It can. So awarded grants cuts through the noise.
How?
It gives you info about grant opportunities, past recipients, successful projects, funding trends, all that.
So you can use that to be more strategic.
Absolutely. You can find grants that fit your mission perfectly.
And you can learn from what's worked before.
Yep. Craft a really strong application.
It's like having a roadmap to grant success.
Yeah, instead of just hoping for the best, you're using data.
To make informed decisions.
Yeah, and that can be huge for someone who wants to use OGD for good.
Imagine you're running a nonprofit focused on, let's say, the environment.
Okay.
Awarded grants could help you find funding for all sorts of projects, reforestation, an education program, whatever.
Right. You're using the data to increase your chances of success.
And that means a bigger impact.
On the things you care about. A bigger impact, for sure. And that's what Sither's all about. They're not just building tools. They're building, a community.
Okay.
People who are using OGD to make a difference.
I like that. Speaking of community, I want to go back to that Building Democratic Resilience report.
Right.
It talks about how important accurate info is for fighting extremism. How does that tie into what we've been talking about?
With OGD and all that?
Yeah.
Well, it's all connected. When people have good information, they're less likely to,
Be manipulated.
Yeah, to fall for that kind of stuff.
Makes sense.
A well-informed public is key for a good democracy, and OGD can play a big part in that.
So it's not just about, improving healthcare or saving the environment.
It's bigger than that.
It's about making society stronger.
Exactly. And this brings us back to those challenges we talked about.
With the data.
Yeah. Inconsistencies, complexity.
And low scores the NAA found.
Right. Governance and interoperability.
So we want OGD to be powerful. We need to fix those things. Because those data problems can be a roadblock.
Oh, yeah.
For anyone trying to use it.
Especially if you don't have a lot of technical knowledge.
Exactly. And Sither gets that. Their tools are designed to make OGD easier.
More user-friendly, whatever your background.
Let's get into that. We talked about awarded tenders and awarded grants.
Right.
How do they actually address those data challenges?
Okay, take awarded tenders. It pulls data from all these different government sources, tenders, contracts, supplier info, all that, and then it does the hard work.
Yep.
Cleans the data, standardizes it, makes it understandable.
So you don't have to mess around with spreadsheets and stuff.
Yeah.
You just log in and see what's going on.
Yep. With government contracts in a sector or region.
Makes sense.
And it's not just about making the data look nice.
Right.
It's about finding the insights that are hidden in there.
Ooh, I like that.
Awarded tenders has all these filters, visualization tools, even alerts when new tenders come out.
So if I'm passionate about, let's say, renewable energy,
Okay.
I could use awarded tenders to track government contracts.
For solar or wind projects.
See which companies are involved.
Maybe find partners.
Cool. And awarded grants does the same thing for grants.
It does. It takes all that complicated info.
Yeah.
About grant opportunities, eligibility, all that.
Yeah.
And puts it in an easy-to-use platform.
So you don't have to spend hours on government websites.
No way.
You just use awarded grants to find the right grants.
The ones that are relevant to you.
And it goes beyond that, right?
It does. Awarded grants shows you past recipients, successful projects, funding trends, all that good stuff.
So you can use that to improve your own grant applications.
Yeah, increase your chances of getting funding.
It's like having a secret weapon.
It is.
You're not just guessing, you're using data.
Data-driven decisions.
And for someone new to OGD,
right,
maybe they're a little intimidated by it. Sither has support, resources.
We do. Lots of stuff to help people understand OGD.
You mentioned those educational initiatives.
Yeah, we've got webinars, tutorials, blog posts, you name it.
It sounds like a lot.
It is, and we even have a support team.
Oh, wow.
They can answer your questions, help you if you get stuck.
So you're not just throwing people in the deep end?
No. We're here to help.
I like that.
We want to empower people to use OGD to make positive change.
That's what it's all about. We've talked a lot about how Sither is addressing these challenges with their tools and all that. But are there any limitations? I mean, these issues the NAA found.
Governance, interoperability.
Those are big systemic problems.
They are.
Can one company really solve them?
It's a good question. And while Sither is making a big impact, we can't fix everything on our own.
So where does that leave us? What can people do to advocate for better information management?
More accessible OGD.
Yeah.
It's a team effort, for sure. First, we need to keep talking about it.
Okay.
Tell your friends, your colleagues, your elected officials.
Spread the word.
Exactly. The more people understand the value of good info, the more pressure we can put on agencies to improve.
And we can support organizations like Sither.
Absolutely. They're already leading the way.
How can we support them?
Use their tools, tell people about them, contribute to their open source projects. Any of that helps.
So we need to demand better information management from the government and support those who are already making it happen.
That's the idea.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed by all this stuff.
I get that.
What can our listener who's passionate about this stuff, what can they actually do?
Start small, but be strategic about it. Find an issue you care about. Let's say education. Improving education for disadvantaged students.
Got it.
Then use the tools we talked about to learn more.
like awarded tenders.
Yeah, I can show you who's working in that area, where the money's going.
And awarded grants can help you find funding.
For your own initiatives.
So you're using data to plan your strategy.
And to make a bigger impact.
That makes sense.
And don't forget storytelling.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that earlier.
Once you have those data-driven insights, share them with people.
Tell a good story.
Exactly. Highlight the problem, the solutions, the role OGD can play.
Turn those numbers into something people can connect with.
Yeah, that's how we make real change.
We've talked a lot about strategy and data and tools. But what about the human side of all this?
Oh yeah, good point.
You mentioned storytelling.
Yeah.
How does that fit in here?
Well, data can be powerful, for sure. But it's often stories that really get people to,
Connect with something.
Yeah, and to take action.
I get that. The spreadsheet's not exactly inspiring.
No, it's not.
But a story about someone overcoming a challenge.
Yeah, that's something else.
Yeah, so how can we use OGD to tell those stories? The ones that really resonate.
We're not just making stuff up, are we?
No, definitely not.
We gotta find the human stories, the real ones.
Okay, how do we do that?
Let's go back to that education example. Awarded grants can show you all these organizations doing great work, but their impact is often buried in,
Reports and stuff.
Yeah, dry reports.
So we dig deeper, right?
We find the people whose lives were actually changed.
By those programs.
Exactly. Suddenly it's not about numbers, it's about Sarah, who's now getting tutoring and doing well in school. Or the community garden that's bringing families together.
And teaching them about sustainability.
Right. Those are the stories people want to hear.
And you can share those stories in so many ways.
Blogs, social media, presentations.
You make the data come alive.
And Sither gets it. They're not just about providing data. They're about helping people use that data.
To tell stories.
Yeah, to craft compelling narratives.
And they lead by example, right?
They do. They have case studies, blog posts, showing how their tools are making a difference.
So they're showing that OGD isn't just for experts.
It's for anyone who wants to make a change.
For anyone with a story to tell.
Exactly.
And they go beyond that, don't they? They support the users, help them tell their stories.
We do. We have platforms for sharing those stories, connecting people who are working on similar things.
It's all about collaboration.
It is.
Imagine someone using awarded tenders to find organizations working on the same issue.
Yeah.
And then they team up to tell their story together.
That's great. That's how we make a bigger impact.
It's not just individual stories anymore.
It's a collective effort.
A movement for change.
Exactly. And that can be really powerful.
Especially when you're trying to change policies or,
shift public opinion.
Yeah. So to our listener out there, if you're passionate about using OGD for good, don't be afraid to tell your story.
Use data to inform your strategy, sure, but also to connect with people.
Find those human stories.
Amplify them.
Use them to inspire action.
To create real change.
This has been a great deep dive. We've learned so much.
We have.
From trustworthy information to democratic resilience and how to actually make a difference.
And how Sither is leading the way.
Giving people the tools and support they need to use OGD for good.
To make Australia a better place.
Check out Scyther's website. Learn more about their work.
Explore awarded tenders, awarded grants.
All that good stuff.
And remember, the best change makers are often the best storytellers.
So find those stories.
Tell them.
Let's make a brighter future together.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us.